Hey folks, and welcome back. It's the 1st of December. We're on our way to Christmas, Mark Healy, and being a good Sagittarian as I am, have a great period, all you Sajos. You're the best people in the world, and you're born at the right time of the year. What have you got to say about that?
I don't know what you're talking about, but what I do know is that big weekend of sport, isn't it? The Australians won the rugby league over in Manchester in England just a few hours ago, and the Wallabies beat Wales also over in a cold, chilly, muddy-looking England. The Australian Open is on right now as we talk. The final rounds just started, and there's a McIlroy-Adam Scott playoff. So it's a big sport weekend here in Australia, and down here in our own little way in the 18-foot skiff club.
And we've got sunshine.
The weather's beautiful. It's heading up nicely, and we've got full fleet out there. 1 or 2 crew changes, a big 540 regatta going on this weekend as well, isn't there? So we've lost a few sailors, have got pulled across by the checkbooks being flapped in their faces, but this weekend, big rigs for everyone, light and tricky. Again, we're going to learn a bit about form on the big sails. Yeah,
and it's a bit similar to last weekend where we saw Brett Van Munster take off in the Kenwood Rabbitohs. I'm sort of liking his performance last week. I reckon he'll be right amongst it again today. And this boat behind us, John O'Witty, was leading this championship until he decided to wrap himself around a buoy and bugger it all up. But
yeah, he's definitely got a proper handicap too, isn't he?
Yeah,
he'll be fun.
Yeah. So it's, you know, this is all good form making. As Mark's saying, it's all about form, going towards the Giltman. Pick the podium. Well, God, it's hard. I know that much. We'll get out in the water and have a little sneaky peek. Okay, see you out in the water. Okay folks, we're out on the harbour. As you can see, we've got the mighty Rippleside with the flagstaff showing course 6 over 3 laps of the Windward Leeward course. We're down. This is a pretty interesting breeze we've got. We mentioned that earlier. A lot of cloud around, Mark. That cloud's just scattered, so is the breeze, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, isn't it? Very light, puffy. We're in the sort of 6 to 10 knots, maybe 12 knots in the puffs, but not many of those at the moment. We're set up in an unusual place for this breeze direction. There's the harbour bridge is right behind us. We're never normally here, and they're talking about a windward mark off Nielsen Park. And Nielsen Park, for those of you who don't live in Sydney, is a fantastic beach on the within the harbour. A lovely little golden beach, very protected from most wind directions. A lot of people will be swimming there probably today on a Sunday. Having said that, there was a rather gruesome shark attack yesterday, not too far away from here, further up the coast. And that usually does stop people swimming straight after all of those, doesn't it, Bob?
They've got a net up there, mate. They've got a net.
Yeah. Do you think the sharks care about the nets too much?
Yeah.
Not sure about that. Anyway.
They don't like that.
So we'll see what happens. The whole fleet's here. Interesting race today with handicap system as usual. Few crew changes, but possibly I was talking to one of the guys of the Rag and Famish to Jack McCartney about how his season was going. Obviously brand new boat, new rig, an awful lot of stuff to sort out, and he was saying that it takes a while to dial in a new boat, but so far they've yet to even do a single lineup, a single speed test, because the conditions so far, of course, with this year have been puffy or breezy or this or that, but never a straightforward northeasterly. And today, same deal, Bob. It's not straightforward northeasterly by any means.
And of course, these boats only get to size each other up every Sunday, so you've got to wait another week, haven't you? So if it all doesn't happen for you for whatever reason, like Rag last week broke down, they blew that marsh plotter up and we've taken it out of the race.
Well, that's Sydney City Marine that we've got the camera on at the moment. That's David Witt's guys, a bit short of pace. They looked in last week's big rig conditions, but they definitely looked a little better in the second half of the race to me. They made a few changes during the race. I had a quick chat with David Witt earlier on, and he said that he's done some major surgery to the big rig, a new rake position, a luff curve change, and he's changed the sail area. I won't tell you which way he's gone, up or down, and keep that as a secret for another time, but made a lot of changes, and well, he's doing the right thing, isn't he? If you're short of pace this time of year, it's not a problem. You just don't want to be slow come the middle of February.
Yeah, all of that, and pick the podium, Mark Healy. I know I've caught you unprepared for this because this is a funky day and we've got a whole lot of good boats on good marks, and Lumix is one of those. They got tangled up. They were in good shape last week and found that turn mark to tangle themselves up with, ran into roller. You saw that. What else we got? Appliances Online got their a new rig in their boat. They've been fiddling with that. They're on 2 minutes. Good battle between the 2-minute boats again, like there was last week, Mark. You got Appliances Online, Cooper's Rag, and Fisher and Paykel, and Sydney City Marine on the 2-minute mark. They go around the blue mark, the mid, and then they go to the long mark with the scratch markers. So there's races within the race today, and we've got 3 scratch markers. Coco, Scotty Babbage on the 7, and you've got Mojo. Chris Nicholson got back to scratch with that 3rd last week.
Yeah, I mean today, the only thing you could conclude from what we've seen today, it's all about heads out of the boat. It's probably unlikely to be a boat speed day. It's about find the breeze, find extra pressure. I think it's the kind of day that could be a boat getting to the first mark like 2 minutes clear. It's that kind of day.
Yeah.
If you just happen to get the right puff, read it well. So I don't know who's going to do that at the moment. Hard to say. I'm expecting a much better performance from DeLonghi today. Simon Nern has really not got going this year at all, but he's been out practicing a couple of times this week. He's got his regular crew finally back together for this week, and I know he's pretty keen to have a word with the fleet this year. So I've got a feeling we might see a little bit of form from him. I'm also expecting Coco. It's the kind of day we saw last year. Coco did a fantastic job of reading the breeze, and expecting him to do well. So he's my top scratch boat. DeLonghi is my surprise, and I'm going to go with Lumix as the other middle handicapper.
Okay, well I'm going to do something reasonably funky with Kenwood. I like the way they sailed last week. I think you'll get the same sort of pace from whether they get lost or not. This is really tricky. I'm going with the kitchen maker who I liked, which is just coming across our bow now. Young Ashlyn Rooklyn is on the helm there, and he's a good little operator, Ashlyn. If he gets inspired, that boat's on 9 minutes. They're going red, red, red all day. And then I'm going for Coco to fill the podium. So that's my 3. So anyway, we'll come back. It's going to be tricky. There's lots of holes in this, and it's pretty low speed stuff right now. I'll come back to them. Okay folks, we're just coming up for 1 minute. You can see the boys are getting a bit excited now. Not a lot of wind here, Mark, and we were just talking about this line. Number 1 is quite short. There it goes, 1 minute to go. It's short because where we are, if they take that pin out further, it's in the Manly Ferry Channel. So we're stuck with a short line, which is going to mean a general, I think.
Well, it's tight again, so possible to hold people back. But it's very pin end. There are some people down that left end who might struggle to even get to the line. It's one of those kind of days. It's very left end indeed. But tricky old day. I think it's the kind of day, obviously clear air, it counts for a lot. But if you have a bad first part of the beat, you've got to keep your head nice and calm, because wins and losses, it's going to be one of those days, ups and downs and ups and downs. So David Witt having a little look at the left end of the line. We mentioned Yandu just to lure to them. They're on a nice handicap today. They're on two blues and a red, which is very nice news indeed. David Witt trying to hold his position there. And I've got Michael Cox in the middle of the line, 7 approaching on port through the back of all these sails. That's Scott Babbage on the helm. He's applying a moth technique, which is approach on port at speed, but that assumes you can find a hole. Right now there is no hole, so he's going to have to tack in there. You're seeing 7 tack there now, and there's the gun. That's going to be the general you predicted. Luckily for 7, which that was pretty. I don't think Scott will be making that mistake again. Well,
we've got to lengthen the line, number 1, and get the bias sort of evened out.
Well, assume the race officer also needs a bit more practice, but he's about to have another crack at it, so wait till then. AP has changed of plans. We're about to come into a minute to go, and there's been some brain cells working overtime. Poor old Dougie Cameron is about to do something magical, I think. Mark, we'll come back when it all shapes itself up, but right now we're just looking at another general, I think, mate. So we'll come back when we get some definition at the moment. Okay folks, we're coming up for the restart on the 1st of December for this 3-buoy handicap, and we're having all sorts of problems, or at least Doug Cameron's guys are. They've had to fiddle around and try and get a sense of where this breeze is going to settle in for them. Right now we've got the camera on that floating structure underneath that wooded point up there, which is Nielsen Park. And that's where they're going. So we're back to the start line, Simon. I've got my doubts whether we're going to get a start away here. We've still got the same issue. The pin end is highly biased, Mark. Yeah, more than a minute to go, and some of the boats down the left end of the line are way too early. They're going to be dragged over early with the rest of the fleet. So I think every chance for another general. It is tight against, but not a lot of tide. That's the 1 minute hoot you just heard there. More breeze than the failed previous 2 starts for sure. So there's a little bit of optimism there. There's definitely enough breeze to race here. Probably be 3 wiring up most of this beat, but it's going to be patchy and tricky. And the wind mark, as Bob said, is the floating bar up by Nielsen. So there'll be plenty of things to look out for up on that bar, I suggest. Even though the weather's quite warm, there'll be Some scantily dressed persona would be my outside guess. Anyway, back to the racing. Down this end of the line, we've got Grant Rollerton and Fisher Pakel and Haya and DeLonghi. DeLonghi quite nicely positioned, a massive gap to leeward for Simon Nern there.
Now, Mark, he can't even lay that line. So
no, there's a lot of bad stuff happening down there right now. Look, I mean, it's so port bias. They're all going to be forced onto starboard. If we were down there would be a lot of rule infringements happening right now. But the guys in the middle of the line here, if they like the Compass Forex boat, if they can fast forward now, they're going to be in great shape. There's 7 seconds to go. I think it's going to be a clean start against all odds. Just Kitchen make it look like gone early. Plants is online, look like they're nailing the pin. There's the start. Or Plants is over early, I think, but that's about it.
No, let me go. Good work.
Individual recall is what we've seen. There it is. But it is a race start, and at this end, Fisher and Pakel got a nice righty, and off they go, and they're off and running. The guys who tried to get too cute down the left end of the line, that's Rag and Famish and Panasonic and Smeg, that lot, well, they were just stationary on the start, and they're still in irons 30 seconds after the gun's gone. So that's not looking too sweet for them. But the breeze did fill in from the right end of the line just before the start, so all these guys who had the bias against them, that's the right end of the line starters, actually not looking bad just because they've got a bit of breeze.
Well, yeah, you're right about that, and Grant Rollerton got a cracker there by starting on the boat, as Mark was saying. Pure Blonde looking fine. The guys on the Haya Appliances from the UK, and Appliances Online got their bow down on that pin, and they got a lane. Got to love it.
There's a ferry, Bob. Ferry coming through.
Oh yes.
Ferry has got rights. There's a ferry just to the left. You'll see that, Simon, about to come straight through on the ley line for all these boats.
There'll be a lot of tacking any second.
There's about to be a lot of noise from the ferry and/or a lot of tacking, I suspect. That ferry, as we know, they do 18 knots. They're made of metal, and they don't divert their course that often. There's a first wise men are tacking away. There's Simon and DeLonghi getting the hell out of there. I'm not sure the rest of these guys have seen them yet.
Well, they'll get a horn any second.
They're about to get it. Look at that. I mean, from this angle, our eyeballs tell us there's about to be carnage here, and I'm sure the camera is telling the same story. Maybe there is a path through there, but blimey, I don't think there is. And they're all having to tack away. You can see the boats are sailing slow and high to try and stay to windward of this ferry as it charges through.
That's the hello, I'm here.
Is Appliances in line across them?
I think they are, mate.
I think they are. I think that's the gap. So Appliances got across them. Everyone else is to windward and has no choice but to stay where they are. Pure Blonde tacks away. This is, well, there you go. It is as close as it looks on camera right now. Mojo just a boat length or so, and indeed they have to tack away from the ferry, and everybody getting away with that. Luckily, Kenwood, yes, that's the winner from last week. They tack away as well. John Winning on Yandu. They're about to fall into the void of air behind the ferry. There's John Winning. Maybe he should have tacked away earlier, but he likes the look of the left-hand side of the course. So disaster was averted as ever, but not by much as ever. These ferries, as usual, always play a part.
Yeah, no, they're great. And that's got Mika probably a chance to, if he just gets his bow up, if he pulls something off Bradley's here, he'll be looking famous.
Just got to cross the bad air. The ferry is the problem. This light stuff, that does make a difference. So Mika about to get into the dirty air caused by the ferry. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Fleet is spread. There is a bit of breeze. We've got a decent race on our hands here. There's Mika tacking away, decided that dirty air wasn't worth it. And he wasn't on a very favourable shift anyway, so he was pointing at the transoms of the rest of the fleet, did the right thing, tacked away. He's going to need a pretty substantial left hand with pressure if he's going to get out of this corner.
I'll tell you who's going well, Mark, is Brett Van Munster on Kenwood. He's got that boat in a nice spot in the middle of that pack that's gone, and he's got that.
There we go.
Back. He's aiming at the mark pretty much, and he's got that pace with that new rig, so go you good thing, Kenwood.
There's a bit of right hand pressure up there, isn't there? And look who's up over there. There's Pure Blonde, who had one of the better starts. There's 7 making good grounds. That's 7 with Scott Babbage on the stick. Normally he's obviously in the middle, but they're going pretty nicely too. Anyway, very early days. We'll wait till they come to us and give you a better idea about who's leading, but a long way to go.
Yeah, come back to you shortly when there's more definition. Okay, we're just sitting off the back of Yandu with John Winning, Noddy and the Beckmeister in the bow. Now you can see they're just pressured up, and this is what it's like, Mark, isn't it? There's there's little lifts, there's pressure lifts, and direction is all over the shop. So Woody was one of appliances online who ducked the ferry and got a bit of an advantage by that. And Fisher and Paykel just steaming through, go Grant Rollerson, and Kenwood's down there. So, mate, this fleet is basically all locked together, even though they're going totally different ways. There's probably a dozen boats that are going to be going around that first mark together.
Yes,
or the mark.
It is. I think the guys who went hard left got a bit of tidal relief off Bradley's. It is tide coming in all race. The guys to the right, maybe a little worse tide, a little more wind. There's 7 just crossing Yandu. 7 was kind of one of the better ones of the right-hand group. Slightly fallen out of that top pecking order possibly, but I think the leading 5 or 6, as you said, Bob, are going to be evenly, will have proven to have come from the left and the right side, so in the end it's going to make a lot of difference which way you went. Plants Online still with the hard left boat. That's the one boat that made the ferry on the far side. They are leading, but not by much, maybe 5 boat lengths. That's all there is in this. Coco, I expected him to be right up there. Brett Van Munster, who you mentioned, Bob, is doing really well again.
Yeah, he is.
And a great recovery from Rag and Famish. They were absolutely buried at the start. They were one of those boats that was in irons as a start gun went. Look where they are now. That's an interesting early sign. Well, we know how well they went last year in the light and tricky stuff. Maybe they're showing us a bit of that form, and here we are. Next boat to look at here is Mojo. And Chris Nicholson and his team also finding the brains to pick his way through this. Yeah, he scraped himself up nicely, but you've got to have speed. It's I don't know which way to go, but you've got to have pace in this light stuff. Lots of technique involved, that's for sure. I can see Plants Online to leeward, falling, caving to left dramatically with very little breeze. You've got to be brave too here, Bobby. You've got to choose your side and kind of stick to it, and when it goes wrong, you've got to stay strong mentally. Well,
Chris is a scratch marker, and he's got the wood on Thurlow Fisher, and gotta love it. So he's clearly ahead of those boats, and there's another little variety for him, which is getting him almost up to that turn mark up there. He's going around the white mark, which I can see right in on the cliff there, near the floating island where all the little beauties are today.
Just in a different breeze. Look at this, the right-hand boats, and Mojo's the only boat that's properly in this right stuff. He's just taken a couple hundred metres off the boats that went left. But I can see a Plants Online in a big lefty, so one of these 2 ships is going to win. I think the lefty is going to win out eventually. So but I think Chris feels he's got to get over to the left. He can't just tack on this. He's got to keep going a bit more. Also, if he tacks now, he'll sail straight into Shark Islands. That won't work very well. He's running out of ley line here, running out of space. So it's very light, tricky stuff. Oh, look at that. The right shift actually came good in the end. Appliances couldn't get up to Mojo. Plants Online tacks back. Mojo is, we are right alongside our leader right now. Nice positioning, Bob. Well done.
Interesting how these guys, I mean, they're a class act, they're plenty of miles under their bums throughout their sailing careers, and just funny how on a day like today, which is all over the shop, there they are, leading this fleet, skill and daring and a hell of a lot of experience, but they just know how to do that. It just seems to be a normal outcome. There they are.
Yeah, it's I'm just having a quick look at the buoys. Remember, it's a handicap race today, so we just got the time now. We just look up at where those buoys are. So you've got that big floating bar, which is just to the right, and then you can see a red mark in the foreground. That's the closest mark. That looks very close compared to the blue mark, which looks a long, long way away. In this light conditions, that's a huge handicap differential. And there's the white mark that doesn't look quite as far ahead relative to the other two, if that makes any sense. So I'd say the red mark looks very advantaged, and the white and blue don't look very pretty at all in the lighter stuff. So anyone, we're going to check the handicaps in a second, anyone in this leading group on red is going to be looking famous.
Well, looking around, I can't see a red turner at this point in time, but Mojo's definitely white. Kenwood will be blue. Or no, Kenwood will be red, I think.
Yandu is a red, so Yandu's in reasonable shape at the moment.
But Kenwood's red, yeah?
Kenwood is red and 2 blues, so red first mark. So Kenwood are going to lead this.
They're going to skip away,
They're going to skip away. They could do what they did last week, which is build an early lead, and then everyone just gives up chasing. They're just too far ahead. That could easily happen here. Red is a big advantage. It does happen on these handicap races. We always say that it kind of depends where they put the buoys, and in theory they're supposed to be equally spaced, but it's quite a hard job for the marked boat to do that, and nearly always it's not even. It isn't always the red buoy that's in particularly good shape, but this week, well, it certainly is. As Kenwood just tacks there onto starboard, pretty much on ley line for this red mark. They'll be very happy lads indeed. last week an easy win. I think they won by nearly 2 minutes in the end, and they're going to be licking their lips at the sight of this red mark.
Yeah, I can give you the other news is, Mark, with those 4 boats, Appliances Online, Rag and Famish, Fisher and Paykel, and the Jolly Green Green Frog of David Witt, they're all on 2 minutes, and there's a good tussle between Appliances Online and the Rag. We just had to get out of the road there, folks. Looking around too much. So yeah, that's all what's going on there. But Red Band Munster has got that red can lined up beautifully. That was David Witt giving us a little bit of hurry up.
Well, they're blue. David Witt on Sydney Marine. They're blue, white. White is, you can see now, the white really isn't very much further away than blue at all. But the difference between red and blue, you can see from this angle now, is colossal. There's David Witt about to tack. And there's Kenwood go round the red mark. She goes round first. She's first round Simon, just to the right. You'll see Kenwood just going around now, just gone round. In fact, there's our lead boat. She's off and running, and no one else is anywhere near a rounding mark.
Yeah, well, that is going to be massive. This is going to
be a big lead for them. David Witt tacks back further up. These first windward marks with the handicaps are always confusing to try and follow. Whichever way we point the camera, there's something else we should be looking at. It's just the way that it is. So we'll try and keep you all up to date, make it as clear as we can. Oh, there's a big hole in the wind up to windward. Mojo almost capsized to windward, just sailed right into a massive hole in the wind. Appliances Online on starboard.
He's on blue.
Going for the blue. There she is, and just bears away. And there's,
so he's second on the racetrack right now.
That's right. Appliances is second on the racetrack. Goes around blue. Mojo's still got work to do to get up to that white mark. There's Rag going around blue, I think. Third. Rag is.
And there's David Witt just dragged himself up into those 2 minute boats. The only one missing from that little parade is Grant Rollinson, but he's just coming into view now. So, yes, Appliances Online to Rag in the 2 minute challenge. And John Winning got around that red mark. We missed him completely, Mark, straight in front of us.
He's all right. And then here's DeLonghi. She's going around the red mark too. They're going to come out of this looking okay by benefit of this massive shortcut that is the red buoy.
And Alex South in the Via Go. She's got the small rig on today.
She's done all right.
She thought it was going to be a little bit too much for her with the big rig, and she's going to be up with the front runners if she can get around it.
If she can lay. It's a little ugly there. She's trying to lay. She's got a port tack, Appliances Online coming straight at her, sucking the breeze out. She'll make it even harder for her to squeeze around. Hopefully she'll make it without attaching herself to the buoy. She's giving it a go now. And she just slips around. Good work by Alex. She's just going to sneak that bar. Yeah, she's going to be fine. In the meantime, there's a train of boats charging down
taking
on
all the
port.
breeze off those guys.
Yeah, a lot of boats with the bigger rigs charging down on port. In the meantime, Kenwood is so far ahead. She's in a completely different postcode. Second on the water is John Winning. Third on the water is Appliances Online. Fourth, Mojo, right in front of you here. Rag is fifth, just to the right. And there's just a void of wind further to the right. There's no wind at all just behind them. These guys, if they look over their shoulders, they'll realise they're just going to have to try and keep rolling. There's some big holes in the wind, some really big holes in the wind here.
Well, that's the way it's looking, and we always knew it was going to be a dodgy one, and there's more tricks in this. Just going down to complete lap one, Kenwood has bolted. They're right over on Bradley's, and they'll give themselves a nice jibing angle if they get lucky over there, and could keep pushing away with this. But Mojo, putting a lot of pressure on Appliances Online here, Simon. You've got plenty of chase boats there, but Mojo, the scratch boat, on fire at the moment. He's left, can't even see, gotta love it. Coco's been spat out the back door, so they're doing another great job. The rise and rise of Mojo. We'll shut it down, we'll get down the bottom mark and see how it all pans out down there. Got the camera on the chasers, that's second, third, way back to 20th, but if you come round, Simon, you can almost gauge the distance that our leader has. Kenwood create more Rabbitohs. They've just bolted away with this, as we said. Once they got around that red mark, they got some pressure, did a nice job of taking down to Bradley's mark. And what do you reckon? He's got a 2 minute lead here in the first lap.
At least, and the boys don't get a lot worse for him as the race goes on, so he's in great shape. Got clear air, can sail where he wants to. He actually sailed the run really nicely. Plenty of trapdoors left on this race course, but Brett's avoided them so far. So early days, but you're hard to bet against him at this point. Just checking on the Rabbitoh Kenwood, the Buoys. So he went round red. He's done his red. He's got 2 blues.
Oh, what a bugger!
Not too bad, not too bad. But the reds is what you really want. The reds are so far downwind, but 2 blues, not too bad. But that lead looks like more than 2 minutes. I'll get a stopwatch on it, and we'll get an exact delta. See how he does for lap 2.
Well, when you're hot, you're hot. He's won it last week in a runaway, and we're looking at potentially another one right now. Go You Good Thing, Kenwood and Brett Van Munster. He's the builder of these boats, so he's starting to enjoy himself. We said last week, he gets tangled up with all the new boats, construction and all the repairs and all the dramas, but he's just had a little golden patch here that he's enjoying. So Go You Good Thing and the mighty Kenwood.
Quite a lumpy bit of sea he's got to get through here. Breeze is a lot softer on this end of the course, so it's a little harder to get out of this bottom corner, but once you do, it all gets prettier. So 2 leeward marks. He's choosing the left-hand one as he looks downwind. Here he goes, and that's a jibe drop, and down it comes.
And you can see, Simon, you'll get the other boats, folks. You'll get the other springers coming down, and they're a long way back.
Look at that lead. Look at the lead. That's ridiculous. Stopwatch has started. I've got a feeling it's huge. That lead is huge. Anyway, hopefully Brett will keep sailing well, keep nice and calm and cool. Breeze does look like it's filling in a bit down the racecourse, Bob. You'd have to say it looks like there's more wind than we had at the start, which is great news for Brett. But look at the following group. I think
well, you know who's come out of that is Asco.
She wasn't in great shape at all before. I think the breeze has just filled in from the right side as we look upwind down from Rose Bay. I think they just rode a big puff down, and all those guys who jibed away early to the north side, like Mojo, for instance. We said that Mojo and Appliances were the clear lead as well. They've just got sucked up by this pack.
Yeah, these guys just kept going straight ahead and they just soaked out as the breeze bent. And,
well, there's the kitchen maker. She was deeper than deep up that beach. She was probably last on the water, and she did go around the red mark, which helped, got her back into the pack. But obviously she read that downwind well, found the breeze, and she's come down now. She's right in the mix to be on the podium.
Well, that's one of my podium boats, Mark Kelly. I've got Kenwood Rabbitohs, the kitchen maker, and Coco. And where's Coco? I can't even see him right now.
He's off the right-hand side looking upwind. He's just off that. He's okay, but he's got work to do. But he's on white marks the whole time, isn't he? So that is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Here comes Asco. She'll just be about to jibe. It's going to be a busy rounding here. I've got a feeling, Bob.
It's got that look about it.
I think we're going to keep all the boats upright. Or, I mean, there's only about 8 knots of breeze, but tricky boat handling when there's a lot of traffic around you. There's Asco gets the jibe in. Probably just the wrong side of the ley line. They went a bit late there, lads. That's Marcus. Ashley Jones a little bit too late, so he has to drop when he's too slow reaching, which is not fast at all. He's got lots of rights, so that's okay, but he's got a 180-degree turn to do, which is never ideal. There he goes. Bit of a heart rate test for his bowman. Pull that mainsail in, on it goes. Not too bad, actually, quite nicely done. But it was a tough old manoeuvre. They did it pretty well, considering. And John Winning manages to hook up inside.
Ashland Rooklyn might have done the right thing here. He ducked all this heavy traffic here. He's gone to the other pin, and he's just gone around it.
But he's had to cross all the dirty air. Bob's the problem. Yeah, will he pop out into clean air? I mean, maybe. Tough to say. David Witt, probably an okay run, not his best, because he was up with the leading group. He'd had a very good end of the beat, but he's sort of back with the pack. Rag and Famish too, they were right up there, but had to go around the blue mark, which wasn't so pretty for them.
Look what happened to Mojo in all of that.
Mojo and Appliances, they are clear second and third, like they were miles ahead of the pack. Look at them, caught up with a whole lot of them. Wow, that would be an interesting one to watch on the tracker, wouldn't it? Well, quite how fast they lost out.
There's possibly more of that to come here, because all these boats are right on each other's pockets. So we'll shut down now and just get up halfway up the beach.
Well, there's a boat, a well-known boat called Gotta Love It 7, Bob, that's only halfway down the run. Like looking miles upwind, and I'm looking, and there's 7. She's minutes away from this bottom mark rounding.
Scotty's trying to get it up on foils, Mark.
Well, they had to get all the way up to that white mark, which is never easy, and they probably got into that void of wind. But other boats have made big recoveries, but it's early days. We've seen 7 do some extraordinary recoveries in the past. It could yet happen. Don't count anyone out.
True. Big challenge though. Alright, that's the way it's shaped up, folks. That's the end of one lap, and we've got 2 more to do, and we'll get up there and try and work out how well Brett Van Munster can defend this massive lead. Back to you then. So just sitting off the side of the kitchen maker, Ashland Rooklyn, young colt, Warwick's son, match racer, and keen dinghy sailor, and all manner of things coming up out of that Rooklyn family, so his destiny is sailing, Mark, but he's come out of nowhere and he's sailing this boat. He's probably in second place right now, and he's not that far, funnily enough, just down to leeward of Kenwood. He's probably closed him down a bit right now.
Yeah, he's certainly getting nicely, aren't they? So they had a pretty average start in the first beat. They were probably last, give or take, one boat, but it's the kind of day where that does happen. You've got to keep your head straight. They've done that, good on them, and they've played the second half of the beat better, and the run an absolute blinder. Absolute blinder. Well, so they're doing nicely, and our leader has gone across to the other side.
At 11 o'clock to the bow,
just to hear the camera, and then the hard right boat is Mojo and Rag and Famish, both of which like the right hand side. So the left hand side is our leader Kenwood, along with the kitchen maker and John Winning's Yandu. David Witt is having a little look at the middle, hedging his bets, and the right hand side boats are Mojo, who's the leader in the right, and the Rag is probably the second. That's how it is, but last time this happened, after all these big splits, they all ended up in the same place anyway. So we got all very excited by the change of direction, and it didn't make any difference which way they went.
Well, that's the way it's shaping up. It's as tricky as. So we'll shut it down and get further up towards the island bar where all the marks await them. See you then. Okay, we're just witnessing Brett Van Munster's now chewing his nails down to the quicks. Hang on, folks, we've got a bit of a wave here. Whoa. Okay, we've got a new leader on the course here, folks. Now, we were telling you how Kenwood had that luxurious lead. Well, that's all evaporated, and David Witt has got the big green Sydney City Marine trucking along, picking the guts out of these ships, and Mojo's back in the mix. I reckon he'd be third on the race course now, so how changeable, mate, but we always knew this. What do you reckon, mate? She's another lap of this, and you could the bloke coming last could end up on.
Yeah, it is that kind of day, but it's also the kind of day you've got to be quick. So what we're learning from this is there's one or two boats here. The standouts for me are Mojo and City Marine, who are picking the shifts, but also both those boats going really quickly. Mojo, as you said, went from leading downwind to being right at the back of the pack, but got the first part of the beat really good, and has been sailing beautifully ever since. But what about City Marine?
Well,
they've come from the middle of the fleet, if that, and all of a sudden they are now the clear leader on the water. So David Witt told me about the work he was doing on the rig. He said he was pretty happy with it, but then he's often talks his game up a little bit, but heavens above, he was exactly
well,
right.
He's showing some pace, but I think it's
plenty of pace. He's going the right way. He's got Tom Clout in the middle,
Tommy
who knows
Clout's
his way
helping.
around. It's a little bit helping him out for sure. But we saw this last year, wasn't we? When he sailed on Rag and Famish, and they were extremely good in the light and shifty stuff. So I think he might have had a bit of a role in that as well.
Yeah, he's a deja vu for sure. So he's got Kenwood, but Kenwood's going to go around a blue mark. David's now got to go to a white mark. He was blue and he'll go white. So that'll spit him back a bit from Kenwood. So Kenwood's still in the box seat here as far as the podium.
One more blue for Sydney Marine.
Oh, right, so they're both on blue.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a change from that. So that's a close race, and then Mojo's clinging on to what he thinks is a good idea to approach these three marks. Now these marks, as you saw before, are up under this headland, which is not a good place to have them, so it's going to get really tricky in here. We don't know what's going to happen, but there's some bad news for Kenwood, but I think Kenwood's still in great shape for the podium today, folks, and he was one of my picks. I'm just letting you know, Mark. Okay, we'll shut it down and wait till they arrive at these marks. So here's the battle, and it's tightening up even yet again. Mojo's getting a sniff in here, but he's got to go white turn mark. David's on blue, we believe, and so is Kenwood this time round. And the peloton is moving up too, Mark Healy, so this is lots of golf left in this.
Yeah, Rag and Famish has done nicely up this beat, so is John Winning's Yandu, and John Winning's got a nice little handicap running for today. He's
he'd be on blue.
To cut. He's two blues coming up, so he'll be alright. There goes our leader. There's City Marine, the green boat, just gone round the blue mark. Off goes the spinnaker, and she's off and running. So she leads by beating them out. There is Kenwood Rabbitohs, our previous leader.
By a long way.
But now she's, well, she's still second.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he had a beautiful lead. Rag's sort of putting along nicely here in the 2-minute class, and so is Smeg having a shot. We're just getting ourselves a little bit boxed in here. We'll do a bit of a manoeuvre. Ashland Rooklyn dropped right out of that pressure. He's looking good early down at Bradley, but he's just falling back with all these peloton blokes sailing around him at this point in time. So we'll tidy ourselves up. David Witt's leading the fleet at the moment, the big green chute heading down towards the turn marks. Come back to you when we get some more action. See you then. Classic example of how shift it is out here. We've got the camera on Mojo, who was right in the mix up there, but David got away early with that green chute set now. He's been trying to track down some pressure and ended up sailing back towards Mojo, who's just brought a nice little vane down with him there. David's finally got the green chute pointing down the track at this point, and Kenwood's still right in there. Ashland Rookland's finally got the bow down on the kitchen maker, Jackie McCartney with the Cooper's Rag and Famished. That's a nice little bit of pressure for those group of boats, Mark, to get down there, so they've spat themselves out right now. And I think there's just another little tearaway pack, but who knows? It's all faces them on the next upwind.
Quite interesting race, isn't it? I mean, the only thing that's not worked out that well is the white mark, which is so far up under the cliffs that there's not much wind there. So anyone who has to go around a white mark is really very, very bad disadvantage. Shame otherwise, pretty fair racetrack. I mean, tricky old David, the race actually got it about right in the end. A bit in it for everyone. Yeah. Everyone's got a shot at this. Yeah. And this race is never over until the very end. That's for sure. The cliche is completely true for one. And right now, you wouldn't want to predict who's going to win this race. Only at the top 10, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. And Johnny Winning and Ashko's back in business in the chasing pack. So you would think the podium will be settled out of these top 8 boats here, but God almighty.
Could be higher than that.
Yeah.
Looking down the bottom of the race course.
It's very light down there.
Remember, this 3-lap race, it's coming to finish the second lap, so one more up and down after this.
Yeah, you're right. It's still a lottery. Anyway.
Long way to go. A lot of traffic on the harbour boats on a Sunday afternoon, coming back down the harbour to lock the boats up for the weekend.
Okay, Marky, we'll get down those bottom marks. It's going to be on for young and old to claim a bit of room down there. Big wave coming. Hang on, we're out of here. So here's our current leader, Sydney City Marine, David, on the whirl, and Keegan York in the bow, doing a nice job of trimming that green chute. Tommy Clout is crouched down and looking around, and that's what you want, Mark, hey, on a day like this. But these guys, I reckon these guys have got they've got the heads for it. It's just how lucky they get from now on, but they've given themselves a shot.
Then you've got Tom Clout, who's the guy looking around, also the lightest car on the boat by probably about 50 kilos, looking the size of the other two guys. The light guy to Lewis, terrific. Keeping his eyes out of the boat, which is the only way to do this, but the other 3 are as well. And you can only do that, of course, when your boat handling is good enough that you don't have to concentrate on it. I think these 3 guys all sail a lot of other boats. Boat handling is already up to a good enough level that they can look around. Come out, and he's going to do it anyway. But they did actually capsize last week on a fluid rounding, so it's still around, so they haven't got it all completely sorted yet. But he's looking very accomplished in this light and tricky stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, they've got lots of heat coming out of the other pack are just rolling down here, but they've got their nose in front. Whether they can keep it there will remain to be seen. Shut it down now and get them down the turn marks for you. Starting to tighten up again, and David's still got his nose in front on the Sydney City. Pretty rapid takedown there. Mojo straight back into the mix, and look at Kenwood. He's tenaciously, whoa, big spin there, and the guy down, he wants to get back this side in a hurry. He doesn't want to go underneath all that fleet approaching, Mark, does he? And
all of a sudden, a puff of wind came down with this leading group, so they're all looking very relaxed mode, and suddenly they all got the wrong side of the ley line, so it all got a little bit hot and exciting. Plus, the cruising catamaran decided to cruise right down, straight across the 2 ley lines, the 2 leeward marks, just to add to the danger quotient. But everyone seems to be around safely. There is a bit more breeze than last time. This last lap, this is the beginning of lap 3 we're on now, could happen very quickly. There goes the kitchen maker and Rag and Famished trying to get around the outside. They can't quite get clear out. I need to bow down a bit more aggressively if they want to do that. Everyone foot going the same way for now, but remember what happened the last beat, Bob. Mojo went hard right and did very well out of it, and guess what's happened? Chris Nicholson's already tacked off to go off to the right-hand side.
He likes it first to go back, so he's got a plan.
And Appliances back in it. Appliances did very poorly on that first run, but they've obviously learnt a lesson or two, and they're right back up in this leading group.
So Ash goes next, and then you got the Smegglers, Nicky Press's guys, Big Gill in the bow and Danny Phillips coming in here. They've tried to stay up with this chasing pack. Got a little bit more to do to get into it. And then it's a long way back to Michael Coxon, the other scratch boat, who's leading the chasing pack of the other pack, if you know what I mean. So that's the way it's shaping up. David Witt clinging onto that lead, and he's going to be looking over his shoulder and forward and backwards and sideways for the rest of the race. Come back to you shortly. So I just tagged along, caught up with the kitchen maker, young Ashland Rookland, doing a pretty tidy job on this boat. Now this boat is on a red mark rounding, and he's been hanging in there all afternoon, very cheekily sometimes, and across from him side, you'll spin around to the left, you can see the early leader, last week's winner, Kenwood, Craig Moore, Red Van Munster. So we just thinking, Mark and I were just thinking, kitchen maker on red and Kenwood on blue, because all the other protagonists out here are on white. So that could make it quite interesting for the dash for cash.
Yeah, and there's the leading group just to the right, just as Kitchen Maker tacks away. To the right of them, you can see Mojo and Sydney Marine. They're 1 and 2 in what looks like a match race. They're both going to have to go around the white mark, which is not so good for them. But interesting enough, Mojo's had to go around white every mark so far, and I bet you Chris has learnt something about which way to approach, which ley line, how to do that, because he is still second on the water despite the pain of taking 2 white marks. So I kind of think advantage to him. I think it's going to be tough for David Witt to stay with him.
Yeah, he's got a tough batch right in his...
And the Rag and Famish in the meantime is coming out of the sun on the left-hand side, the hard left boat. There's the boat with the black sails.
Could have jumped up into
She's right in with the leading group. I don't think she's going to cross them on port. Oh, do you like the look of that shift? She's gone back for more. I reckon she likes the look of that left a lot, decided to take a bit more of that pressure. So this leading group closing up. I thought by now these boats would be spread out miles apart. They're all within touching distance.
Yeah, there's something in it for everybody out here, and there's still a leg and a half to go.
This is almost a northeasterly, Bob, isn't it?
Yeah,
They've all got
right
that
now,
extra pressure. It's flicked hard left, and I think they've realised, including Rag and Famish, have realised this is a northeasterly. Get into Bradley's, get the lift off the corner, and treat it like the last leg is a northeasterly, which does mean, if that's the case, when they tack on the port, they could almost be laying the top mark.
This is a good lineup here, right here. You've got Sydney City, the green, and Mojo, and they're pretty much in the same sort of air. They're not annoying each other, and you've got a speed difference. Not a speed difference, but you can see how close they are. David would be happy with that.
And the question is going to be, can Rag and Famish tack and complete their tack to cross on port? I think they probably will. Mojo certainly won't be able to do that with Sydney Marine there. So realistically, I think Rag will just about, if they're tack in the right place, tack and clear these two, but it'll be not a lot in it. So I think it'll be Rag 1, Sydney Marine 2, Mojo 3. Let's see, here we go. Here goes Rag and Famish tacking. Early season, can they? Oh, not quite the tack they wanted. It's a close one. Is this a cross? Oh, no, I think it's not. It's a duck. Last minute. I think if they got a perfect tap, they could have done that. Look how big the duck is. But in the end, they couldn't quite do it. But that's okay. They're boat for boat. When you make a duck at that speed in an 18, effectively you're ahead anyway. So there they go. They are the leader out of this left-hand group. Good work by Rag and Famish, right back into this leading group. And Mojo will have the same issue. There's no way they'll be tacking crossing Sydney Marine. But it's in a duck, a little bit of a duck, so that puts them second on the water. Sydney Marine will probably end up.
And Dave will go right to the bridge here.
Yeah, he'll go all the way in and have a little look at the muscles on the rocks, won't he? There he goes. He might have gone closer today, but he's happy with that. Yeah. Very nice tack, actually. Probably the best tack of all 3 boats was Sydney Marine. Very slick indeed. And that's our leading 3. And they've all come out of this side. I think this is the way to go, Bob. This is a northeasterly. It's trying to be northeasterly. You want to be on the left, that's for sure, when it does that.
Okay, so where's the kitchen maker? He's gone right across the point Piper, so he's rolled the dice over there. Could have been a bit of a... Ooh.
Well, interesting too, we talked earlier on about Rag and Famish saying they've never had a speed test chance all season. Well, here they've got one, haven't they? Yeah, here we've actually finally, the breeze has stabilised, it's settled down. With 3 wiring, they're kind of searching for power a little bit. Everyone's hunting for a bit more power, but they've all got clear air. We're now looking to see who's got the wheels.
It's going to be a good race. This is looking great. We'll get up behind the Rag and have a look at their rig. Last time we got close to them, we broke their boat. Not intentionally, it was just the way it worked out. So we'll go and have another look at the Rag, the mighty Rag. It was christened formally today in the park. Like Peter Caligula's, the sponsor. Okay, they've just tacked, so let's see what happens here. We'll get.
They're across actually, they're going to cross on the starboard, they're clear across. I think they realise the breeze, the best stuff is on the left, and they don't want to give up that left-hand side, so they're going to cross back.
Well, they've got the wheels.
They've got the speed, that's fine. And they were, look at that, they managed to complete the tack and get across. Mojo did have to do a duck, but not much of a duck.
New leader.
Rag almost completely clear, and Rag is clear across Sydney Marine. So Rag and Famish getting their act together this season, without any question. Brand new boat, brand new big rig, brand new mainsail, brand new jib, but the small rig is the same as last year. There was nothing wrong with their pace with the small rig, so I got the feeling they are going to be one of our regular front runners.
Yeah, looking good, but I've still got a little challenge here for you. Brett Van Munster just behind us, and he's hanging into these white Turnmark boats, and he's going around blue. So whether that will give him just enough to have a dash for the victory, we'll have to wait and see. But it's all going on over in this right side, isn't it?
Right, there we go. There's Mojo just tacked.
Got across David Witt.
Just tacked just across Sydney Marine. These are our right-hand boats, whereas Rag and Famish have gone hard left, so there's a very big difference of opinion on the right thing to do here.
I think Mojo's come out of that with the right plan somehow.
Nicely, just
that nice
sneaked
little,
away. Very nicely done.
Anyway, that's it for the moment. We'll pick this up when we get some more prices, but it's a very tight race developing. Just put up the back of our leader. This is probably our 5th different leader in this race this afternoon, and the fabulous looking Rag and Famish 62 Coopers has just got the whip out, mate. You can just sense that this boat has got it going nicely, hasn't it?
Well, my favourite looking boat, just aesthetically, a great colour scheme. Whole boat, very brand new hull, brand new big rig you're looking at now. Look at how elegant that boom is. Really clean the way they've done the engineering on the gooseneck, and the mast itself, the section, the whole thing looks just lovely. And of course the very cool looking black sails from Ullman. But yeah, if you're going to lead today's race, the best time to do it is on the last lap, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's just what they're going to do. They've shown really good pace up on this beat, but most important, I think they've recognised the early signs of the northeasterly. They kept to the left of the other two boats of Mojo and Sydney Marine, and that gave them a nice left shift and a bit of extra pressure, and they've taken full advantage of that. But they've got to get around that white mark. That's the question, is where do you find the best breeze? I think I would like to have approached it from the left, personally. I like the left, although I don't fancy approaching it on starboard. That's what they're about to do now.
Oh, they're getting into soft water, aren't they?
I just think there's a lack of breeze up here, but we'll see. They've sailed the beat very well so far be it from me to give them any advice at all. But there they go. They found a ley line, they've got a bit of pressure, so I think they obviously read that just fine. There we go. If that breeze will hold, there's a bit of a lull, and then there's pressure after that. But let's see how they do here. They're going for the lull. This is the difficult bit they've got to do. In the meantime, Chris Nicholson is approaching from much more to the left, and I think Rag's going to get around first. And I think enough of the lead that have the following boats who are going around blue, apart from Kitchen Maker, who's the red boat, isn't she, Bob? That's the issue. Really is the issue.
Where have they gone?
Really is the issue.
Oh, there they are. No, the white boats again. The white turners. Rag. Well, look at Rag now, Bob. Mojo just played that very well again.
Yeah,
came in on the preferred
really
side.
light bit. Here's the really light stuff. Tough for both of them. Mojo's had to go around this white mark every single time, which is really tricky. And again, well, good job by Rag. Actually, in the end, it worked out fine. It worked out fine. And Chris Nicholson's fine. I've got David Witt hard left, approaching with plenty of pace in the green boat. That's going to be our 1, 2, 3. The question's going to be, where is the Kitchen Maker? Because she gets to go around the red mark. She's a long way back, actually. She's not going to get into this.
Yeah, no chance now.
There goes the Rag. She's first round, last lap. That's the last downwind to the finish of this race. Mojo is going to sneak round second. David Witt approaching with breeze from the left-hand side. Plenty of pressure. Lifted. You can see how easy the jib is. So he's on a big left shift with pressure. That tells you the northeasterly is in.
And he should be able to shoot and use that breeze up going back the other way.
That's a big barroway set going to come off, and he could charge down here as a Rag and Famish almost led him one. If this breeze comes in properly, there he goes. Big turn, 180-degree turn. He goes round third. And Asker, where have they come from? They've sailed this beat really nicely. They're going to be going around blue.
Yeah, well, they're going to put themselves in it.
They are going to be in it. They won't be too far behind. If this breeze goes light and funky, any more light and funky, they could be in this. They're going to go around in 4th. Here comes Kenwood.
Yeah, but unfortunately,
Our leader of our first lap. That seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? When they had that huge lead, that 2.5 minute lead. They're going to go around in 5th place. 3rd is Sydney Marine. There they go.
I think that's the podium, my friend.
Kenwood 5th. Plants is 6th. There we go. That's the group.
I think that's our podium. If you come round to the front side, you can see the lineup. You've got Coopers, Rag and Famish, Mojo. The green chute is on David Witt's Sydney Marine. And then you've got Ashco, but I think those 3 boats are going to, the way they've got their bows down here, they're going to be aiming straight at the mark. The rest of them can make their own arrangements, but anyway, we'll get down there, show you some action as they get towards the line. Back to you then. So this looks pretty sure to be our podium. As I was saying before, you've got the Rag and Famish, Coopers, Mojo, and the battle between. They're pretty much aiming at these marks.
They're almost laying with this shift, and you'd have to say David Witt's high lane versus Mojo might work out rather nicely, but the question is, will any of them lay? Are they all going to get slowly headed, or are we going to be jibing? Very hard to say what's going to happen. I'd say this is still fully up for grabs. Who's going to win this race? I don't think Rag and Famish feels safe, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, it's definitely the podium though, because
for sure.
Away from the chasers. Chris Nicholson's might need a bit of neck therapy. He's had his head turning around constantly all day, as his crew has. But they've done a great job. A scratch boat is right in this mix, and the other scratch boats, Coco and Gotta Love It. We haven't mentioned him all day because he just hasn't stepped up to this challenge. By the way, Sebby's not on the helm, is he?
You're absolutely right. Well, you're right. Sebby's not on the helm, which probably makes a difference, but you could argue what makes an even bigger difference is not having Scott in the middle. It's the kind of day when you have to look around on the race course, much more of a look around than a boat speed day. So I think having Scott not in his normal role, focusing fully on driving, probably is made the biggest single difference, would be my uneducated guess.
I agree with you, 100%, Mr. Healy. So there's the concentration on our leader as we get close this distance down to the finish marks, and David Witt has he's got a little puff. He's giving Nico plenty to worry about here. They're both going to do a simultaneous jibe, so they're going to scrap all the way to the end.
In the meantime, Rag and Famish is tracking off, hasn't had to jibe away yet. She hasn't had the lift the other two have had, but she's going to cover them, so she goes to them anyway, just decides to go and join in the fun. They're all now on port jibe. This now is going to become a full jibing run all the way down. It's becoming a VMG run.
Yeah.
Flicking around, 1 minute looked like they might not lay, now all of a sudden it's a full jibing VMG, and certainly Rag will not want to get too exposed off one side or the other of this run. Too dangerous.
Well, he's just got that nice little break, hasn't he? So he's got a bit of luxury there to just cover, and he's to leeward, and you'd want to be there, and the other boats are fighting each other. Asco is the wild card. He's currently in 4th. He's gone deeper into Bradley's. Whether he gets to have a crack at this, a bit too early to know. So that's the way it's shaping up. We'll shut it down and give you some thrills when they start heading for home. About 3 or 4 minutes away. Okay, here's the dash. Cooper's Rag and Famish are going to get there, but only by the skin of their teeth. Chris Nicholson's Mojo sailed brilliantly all day from scratch, and he's right in this market. It's a great effort from those guys, wasn't it?
Yeah, terrific. White Buoys all day long, really hard. They've shown pace and patience and plenty of smarts, and great job by them. But our leader, Rag and Famish, I've got a feeling that might not be the first time we see them win a race this season, Bob. I've got high expectations of them this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Great job by Jack and his team, looking fast, elegant, and did it when it mattered, got in the lead when it mattered. As we said, Mojo, pretty impressive performance indeed, and likewise with the Sydney Marine, showing plenty of pace in this light and tricky stuff, and they too are very close. That top 3, exceptional sailing from all 3.
Yeah, and Asco's come right into this. They were the ones that were showing it went into Bradley's, and they found something on their approach, so they've tightened it right up. But this is the podium, finishing in 4th place. The interesting thing now with Mojo coming 2nd mark, and Kenwood trying to, great finish there. Asco would have got that, I think.
Asco gets that, yeah. Kenwood decided to give it a go, see if they could just try the jibe inside it. Didn't quite execute a good enough jibe. But good job by Kenwood too. I mean, they did lead the race.
Well, it was
first
one,
lap,
yeah.
but then they all got a little bit too.
They peaked too early.
Yeah, a little hard there to defend the lead. That's for sure. You needed to have speed. That's the one thing for sure. You couldn't defend just by going the right way. You had to have speed. I think in the end, maybe Kenwood slightly found out the speed just by the top 3 boats.
Yeah, I think the Mojo boat, as we were saying, is now that it's finished second today, will push. It will be the lame scratch boat next Sunday. It'll push Gotta Love It 7 out on to 2 minutes, as will Mr. Coxon on Thurlow, who was nowhere inside today. I didn't even see. Well, I saw him, but he wasn't able to get in the chasing pack. So that's it for us, Mark. We'll get ashore. We want to watch see who's won the golf. A very tight event going on over in
Australian Open. Happening only just about a kilometre or two from where we are right now, just in Rose Bay.
Yeah, I just saw a few balls.
See the flags flying, a few golf balls flying into our race course, haven't they?
Well, thanks again, Marky. You're off to England to freeze your butt off for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we'll see you in January. Next time I'll be on commentary will be January, when we'll be truly in the run up to the big event, our big event, not the Australian Open, the Australian International Open called JJ Gilman. Our version.
Looking forward to that one.
That's the major of the year, isn't it?
Yeah, great stuff. We'll wish you all the best and don't eat too much Christmas pudding. And Simon Brown, thanks again for squeezing the trigger. We'll see you ashore, Mark. We'll have a little chat to a very excited, I think, Jack McCartney. As we were saying earlier, this boat was formally launched, so that was obviously a good omen for them. And they played that race really well. They decided to hold back the performance until they could actually go on with it, and did a great job in the end. See you next week.